right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for attending our session today. This is Lumio, a bridge to engagement in the hybrid classroom. My name is Jonathan Olshan. Wherever you're joining us from today, welcome and greetings. I hope that if you are on social media, you are more than welcome to give me a follow at JOlshanWMS. Would love to connect with you, would love to collaborate with you. And just really excited to be here today. So thank you so much for joining us. Just a reminder throughout this presentation, if you have any questions, you are more than welcome to post them in the chat. Our moderators will be happy to clue me into anything. If you have any questions or just need any further explanations about anything, more than happy to have that discussion with you. Also, don't forget, if you are attending Luminate here, there is some really excellent tools in the swag bag that you can download. There's some great teacher interactives that I was checking out just yesterday. So be sure to get in there and make sure you download those tools. Some really awesome things in there for you to take a look at. Also, check out the on-demand content throughout Luminate. Whether you are with us live today in person or you are viewing this on demand, there are some other fantastic sessions that are absolutely worth taking a look at. So be sure to check those out as well. For those that are participating with us live today, I am using Lumio's platform here. And if you would like to take part of this as a student, so you can kind of see things from their point of view, I strongly encourage you to go to hellosmart.com and join with the class ID 960796. Our moderators are going to put that link, hellosmart.com, and the class ID into the chat. So if you are joining us today, we'd love to have you in there. That way you can take part in some of our shouted out, some of our response polls, and again, all of the student interactives you're going to be able to see in person as well. If you are joining us on demand, you're more than welcome just to kind of follow along and watch here. And if you'd also like to just contribute in the chat to any of those polls or shouted outs, you can do that as well. So that should be in the chat right now. I'm going to move on to the next screen, but if you are joining us or if you just happen to pop in, you can find all that info right there. So just a little background about myself here so you know where I'm coming from as an educator. I have been in the education game for a little over 12 years now. I was an English language arts teacher, and I had the opportunity to teach 7th grade, 8th grade, 10th grade, and 11th grade English. I was also a 9th through 12th grade broadcasting teacher as well. But about 3 years ago, I accepted a position as a K-12 instructional tech coach for our district, Warwick, which is in Lititz, Pennsylvania. And we support over 3,800 students and well over 300 teachers across 6 buildings, 4 elementary schools, a middle school, and a high school. I am a Google certified trainer. Our school predominantly uses Google Workspace, so that comes in handy for all of the activities and things that we do in our school. I'm an Apple teacher. Most of the devices that we use at our school are all MacBooks. We also use Apple iPads as well for our students. I became a SMART ambassador last year as a K-12 instructional coach. We had a really awesome first half of our year, and then the pandemic struck in March of 2020, and my role changed quite a bit, and becoming a SMART ambassador and getting involved with Lumio was one of the best things that could have happened for us because it really helped us with some difficult situations. So that's a little background about myself. Again, if you did get a chance to jump into the Lumio classroom here, I want to begin with just a quick response question. This is one of Lumio's interactive features. So I'm going to start this response question here. And although, I don't know everyone that's in this call right now that's on this Zoom, I want to ask you something deeply personal. Because I think that it's important that we recognize the one good thing that came out of the pandemic, and that was the fact that when you're in a Zoom meeting, you do have some liberties. So I just want to know, in all honesty, just be real with me. This is a no judgment zone. We won't shame anyone here. Hand on your heart, are you currently wearing pajamas? Now, you might be a business on top, PJs on bottom type of person. It lends very well to the Zoom calls. You might be the person that literally changed out of them 1 minute ago, and that's okay. You might be the 100%, you don't see my face right now, I'm attending this, and yes, I'm comfortable in living my best life in my pajamas. Or you might be the consummate professional that says, never would I ever do that. And we'll maybe believe you if you said that. So as you can see, Lumio's interactive poll feature, one thing I love about this is that you can see the progress of the students that participate in here. So I can see several students already participated. I don't know if you're in the chat, if you are participating as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to live results here. And I can see, okay, I've got 2 people being honest. They're rocking the business on top, PJ's on bottom, respect. There's the individuals that just changed out of them. Some people are saying, nope, I'm living my comfortable best life. And some of you are just consummate professionals, nothing but respect for you that even though we can't see you're wearing the full suit and tie, you've got a beautiful dress on. There's something going on. So congratulations for those that are such professionals. So I mean, I joke a little bit about the fact that that's the one good thing that came out of the pandemic, but I don't know if you remember, it feels like it was so long ago, it feels like it was yesterday, but when it was first announced that, hey, we got to close down schools, we're going remote, I remember everyone was so pumped about this for a solid 10 days. And then it was like, I'm ready to go back. This is not worth it. Just because I get the pajamas, it is not worth it. So I appreciate your honesty. I'm glad that you can answer that question with me. So if you remember back in March of 2020, schools shut down, at least for us where we lived here in the United States. And it was a challenge. And teachers were told, all right, let's make this work. Now, I'm no aviation expert, but trying to put together a plane while it's in the air is a challenge, but somehow we did it. Somehow, we all came together. We worked, teachers worked with administrators and people in schools, and we basically tried to figure out a way that we could still provide some type of learning experience for students. And then fortunately, after the spring, we found out in the fall of 2020, we're going back to school, at least in our district, and we were told we're going back to school, we're gonna be face-to-face, we're gonna make it work. And for the last 2 years, we've been in kind of this situation in my district, which essentially has us being in person, teaching to a group of students that are in person in our building, and then a constant revolving door of students that are live streaming from home. We know with the pandemic that, there's people that wind up, contracting COVID, they wind up getting it. There are students that are contact trace and then are forced to, they have to stay home until they're cleared to come back. So you might have a class one day where you have all 27 of your students in person. The next day you might have 3 in person. The next day it might be 15 and 13, so it really has been a true juggling act for teachers. This year more than ever, I know teachers just feel like there's so much on their plate. They feel like it's really difficult to find a way to teach and meet the needs of both your students that are remote and in person. And they're doing such an admirable job trying right now to make this work. But it's a challenge. It's an absolute difficult challenge. And I see the stress and frustration from a lot of teachers right now that just feel like their plates are so full. So I'm curious, wherever you're coming from here, we're gonna just jump in here to a quick shouted out activity. It's one of my favorite features of Lumio, because again, whether you're in person or whether you're remote, this is just a way that you can connect as an entire group. So I'm gonna start this shouted out. And my question for you, whether you're an educator or whether you are someone that works in education, if you could have any one superpower, which one would best help you survive teaching in 2021 and 2022? Now, I also I help run the comic book club over at our middle school, and we frequently talk about what would our favorite superpowers be. But at a recent in-service, this was kind of thrown out among teachers as well. And the answers always kind of make me chuckle a little bit. But I've seen staff say things like, I wish I could grow 8 arms so that I could help one student over here with their live streaming, be on the iPad over here while I'm still helping my small groups over here. Super speed, just to be able to run back and forth between the 50 activities that I have planned. We'll take a look in the shouted out here. An invisibility cloak, that's a good one, just because there's times that you just want to be like, please everyone just leave me alone for 5 seconds so I can catch my breath. That's definitely a good one. A mind reader, this is good. I like that response. That would be good for mind reading students, mind reading administration, parents, other colleagues, there's times that would probably be really helpful, because we're doing our best, and sometimes it feels like it's just not enough sometimes. Ability to teleport, I'm a big fan of that. That's my personal favorite superpower if I could have any. And again, I think the one trend that we see with a lot of these right here, time freezer, that's good. One of the trends that we see is that it just feels like we have so much on our plates that we need to be doing 50 things at once. We need to meet the needs of so many people. We're trying to take care of our own wellness as well. And it just feels like there's not enough time in the day, and there's just, we're juggling so many things. So clearly all of these superpowers, that they sort of emphasize that. And the reason that I asked you this, and the reason that, kind of my transition into that, is that Lumio actually sort of acts as that superpower for me and for a lot of our teachers in our district as we kind of try to navigate teaching in 2021, 2022. So thank you for everybody that did participate in that Shout It Out. The reason that Lumio can act as this superpower for us is because it provides something extremely important and extremely essential for our students in this hybrid learning environment. So the 3 keys to engagement that I really want to discuss with you, and the way that it can provide these keys to engagement, especially when students are trying to connect from home, is that Lumio offers us the opportunity to create these personal touch points with our students. This is hands down one of the most important things. It can't be overstated how important this is. And students are severely lacking this when they wind up, trying to connect remotely from home. Those little moments in the day that we have with our students, if I'm waiting outside my classroom, if students are walking in, just that quick fist bump with another student, the quick, if I see they're wearing a jersey and say, hey, did you watch your team this weekend? How did they do? Those quick connection points are everything. And developing that rapport with students, that's really what kind of helps them keep invested in your content area. And unfortunately, when kids are at home behind the screen, I think it's more of just like, hey, are you there? Can you connect? Okay, great, we're gonna start in a second. And there's not as many personal touch points. So Lumio truly does offer teachers that opportunity to have those personal touch points with all their students. The second key to engagement here that we're gonna look at with some of these samples that are provided with you today is the ability to emphasize feedback. Feedback is so important, and when students feel like they're getting feedback from their teacher, they're able to progress, they're able to grow and meet the learning goals, and they're able to see and kind of be steered in the direction that they need to be. It's not a passive experience by any means. And that kind of leads me to my next point here, which is active learning. Lumio completely offers the opportunity to take teacher lessons and make them active. Students are active participants in every single lesson when using Lumio. So we're going to dive into how some specific lessons that really incorporate these personal touch points, emphasize feedback, and promote active learning. So I'm just going to open up this response real quick, just so I get an idea of the people that are in this Zoom right now that are participating. How comfortable do you feel using Lumio in your classroom right now? You might be new to Lumio to some degree, but you're really excited to learn. It sounds like a great product that you want to use. It's going to help emphasize all those key engagement strategies. Maybe you're someone that's used it a few times, but you would like to know a little bit more, or maybe you're an absolute pro and you're just like, bring it on, give me some new ideas, because there are so many awesome things that you can do with Lumio, and you just want a little bit more about that. So just going to jump into the live results real quick. I don't look like I have any newbies to Lumio here, which is totally great. We can just talk about some new techniques that you can use with Lumio and how it can be most effective in your classroom. If you are new to Lumio and you are watching this on demand, don't let that frighten you, because everything that we go over, there'll even be a segment that I'm going to show you how easy and how fast you can create Lumio lessons, which is ultimately one of the reasons that I love it so much. Even my teachers that are brand new, that haven't used Lumio before, this is something that they take to very quickly, which is why I have this next slide here. As I mentioned earlier in my bio, my education background was predominantly secondary. When I switched over as a tech coach, I was in, K through 12 classrooms. And I remember my first day as a tech coach, I went into a kindergarten classroom and I walked up to the front and we were doing a mini lesson on digital citizenship. And I said, hey, everybody, my name's Mr. Olshan. And before I said anything else, a student walked up to me with his finger in his nose, and he pulled it out and he said, would you like to come to my birthday party? And I was I didn't know how to respond to that because I was a high school teacher and no student ever did that before. And luckily I got my composure and was like, well, thank you so much. What a great offer. But, grab a seat. We're going to do this first and we'll talk about that birthday later. But, ultimately it was one of those things that was a little shocking for me, the change of, moving my positions, being in an environment that I wasn't used to. That can be difficult. So just as a good analogy for it, wherever you are at home right now, if you're watching this on demand or if you're live, go ahead and just right now cross your arms across your chest the way you normally would. And I want you to just take notice of your right hand. Where is your right hand right now? Is it under your arm? Is it on top of your arm? Is it underneath? I naturally put my right arm underneath. And now what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to attempt to switch your arms right now and do the opposite. So you're trying to cross over to the other side. I still have trouble doing this right now. And you might find that that's really difficult. Something as simple as crossing your arms can be really difficult. And the reason it's difficult is because you've done it that way your whole life. You're just naturally used to crossing your arms a certain way. So when I tell you to cross the other way, it feels awkward. But if you would do that about 10 times, you would just switch your arm. So I'm switching it now. It suddenly starts to feel more comfortable. And it's something that you can say, oh, okay, that's not that challenging really. This is sort of how Lumio was for our teachers when we first introduced it. I know that most of our teachers just said, I have so much on my plate right now, I can't learn something new. And the reason that I love Lumio so much, my tech coach partner and I, the reason we started pushing it out to all our teachers because we said, this isn't something that's going to, break you down and be like, you don't have to invest 40 hours a week trying to learn this software. It's actually unbelievably user-friendly. It might be a little bit of a change at first, but just give it a small amount of time and you're going to realize how beneficial this is and how easy it is to use. So I want to share with you for the next about 12 minutes or so, I'm just going to walk through some of the lessons that we've used with our K-8 staff with Lumio, some of the different ways that we've used Lumio's functions and features so that we could make personal touch points for students, that we could make lessons that provide feedback for our students and ways that we can just make our students active learners. So we're going to start with our kindergarten crew here. This is a lesson we did for the 100th day of school. We're going to start with just some base 10 memory blocks here. So this is one of Lumio's interactive features. They have so many awesome interactive activities. This is just one example here. Students had to match a number with base 10 blocks. So for the 100th day of school, you have different ones in here. So we have 40, 50, 60, 70 here. Students would go through, look at that, perfect match right off the bat. I'm really impressed with myself there. But students will go through this at their own pace. And one of the things that we love about Lumio, especially with our younger students, if you look on my screen in the upper left-hand corner, at any point, we can flip between teacher pacing and student pacing. Now with kindergarten kids, this is fantastic because we could say, hey, let's take 2 minutes right now. We're going to go through this. If a student finishes at the 1 minute, 30 second mark, no problem. If another student needs a little more time with it, but we're saying, you know what, we're going to keep advancing with this lesson. We just click the next slide and we're moving right on, as you can see on your screen if you're participating. So the next thing we have here is an individual student activity. You can always tell the individual student activities by the purple icon here. And we're going to go into this activity right now. And again, there's so many good features to Lumio, but the fact that I can see my entire class, and at any point I can pull up my students' work and see what they're doing. I have a teacher handout, which lets me maybe model what I'd like to show them first. So I could say to my students, all right, we're filling out a hundreds chart here. There's some missing numbers. Let's go through right now. So I can click on the 3 and drag it over. I can show my students, that's what you have to do on your screen. Now, again, the cool thing about this is that our students are active in their learning now. Every single student has this on their screen. They're all working through it. If I want to jump in at any point and click on one of my students' screen, I can go in, I can see that they're just tearing it up. One thing I like to do is I like to jump into that text feature, and I could just leave my student a note. And I can provide some more thorough feedback, but even just putting something like that is giving students immediate feedback. They can see something that I wrote. They see that I'm part of their learning process as well, that I'm there if they make a mistake. I can say, oh, hey, could you try moving this number there? And then afterwards, we have an opportunity for students to share. So if I'm projecting this on my smartboard, I can go ahead and click on anyone's work. We can say, KC, can you walk us through how you came up with, the bottom row here? And students are able to participate that way as well. So thank you for those that were participating in the hundreds charts. Excellent. We're going to look at a collaborative activity here. And the little green icon, this is something I love about Lumio. I'm in this right now, and I realized that the activity has ended because I was probably testing it out. So I'm going to start it up and start a new activity, and just like that, I'm right back in it. So even if you accidentally go in and do something, Lumio makes it so easy to go in and just correct something if I set it up incorrectly. So I'm going to put people in groups of 4 here. And I don't know if we'll fill out that whole thing, but there we go. So you can see Lumio automatically puts people in groups. I've just started this workspace now, and people are able to collaborate together on completing this this image with all these different shapes. And at any point, I can go in and I can take a look. I'm going to look at team 4 over here, and I know they just got in here, so they might not have anything yet, but I'm able to see in real time as they're clicking on things and moving them, and they're ultimately coming together to create this 100 chart. Now, we talk about bridging, our remote learners and our in-person learners. This is one of those examples that might seem like a little, like what's the big deal? But for students that are at home that suddenly see, oh, there's somebody else working with me right now, that connectivity that they have, that's so important that they know that they're not just working on something by themselves. They have their classmates in there with them, and that's just invaluable. And Lumio makes it so easy to do that. Now, I know you're working really hard on that 100 picture. I am going to keep moving on just because we have a lot of other examples here. So looking one more time at a collaborative workspace, this was a final activity. And I love this piece for collaborative that you can have every single person on one team. And, that might scare some teachers to be like, do I really want all my students in one group here? And you'd be surprised how often this actually works out well. So, we worked with a kindergarten teacher and we just said, all right, class, here's your challenge. We have 100 gumballs. We need to add to the gumball machine. Everybody's in here right now. Fill up all their circles. Can you do it in under 30 seconds right now? And I can just see some of you are just firing gumballs in there. That's fantastic. I won't actually time you. I'm not going to make you fill up the whole gumball machine, although clearly some of you are very excited about filling up that gumball machine. I love that. I'll help you out. I'm going to help you out. We're going to fill this up. So, but you can just see this is a 30-second activity. All we did was import this image from Google. We took this as a Google slide, and then all these awesome interactive, these little gumballs here, they were just images that we added an infinite cloner to. And just like that, we have a collaborative activity. It's 30 seconds, but everybody, whether students were at home or in person, they got to participate. And that felt like something that we really couldn't do at the start of the pandemic. You guys filled that up. That was fantastic. We're gonna keep going, but really nice job on that. So just another example of a lesson here. We have map skills at the 2nd grade. This is a label reveal. I love all of the little interactives. Again, I could put a picture up of a compass rose that says north, south, east, west, but even just the fact that students can go in on their own screens and click and kind of go, okay, that's right. Good reminder of all of my different direction points. And then what we did in this here, and again, just another example of the way that, you can use Lumio. I'm going to start the activity. There we go. Again, love the fact that you can do that. But just to show you an example, this was just an image that we added. And then Lumio lets you take something like an image of an X, and we use Canva EDU for a lot of our images. You can remove the backgrounds, make them transparent like this. So I love the app smashing between these 2 platforms. But now, every student has their own infinite cloner X here. So I might announce to the class, all right, can you find the location that is north of the school on your map? And students could, they could drag it over there. Whether a student's at home or in person, they can all take part in this activity. All right, we're gonna keep going. Let's move to 3rd grade cause and effect right here. So cause and effect lesson that we had here, just defining the terms, what a cause is, what an effect is. And then a shout it out for class. We did a shout it out earlier as a group, but just really like the way this one's set up. It's my birthday. What are some of the effects that can happen to me today? So, we have the opportunity for students. We defined our terms. We know that a cause, something that occurs, the effect is because of that, this is what happens. And then students can just chime in here and, we can look. Some people are getting presents, some people are getting money, some people getting sugar, and that's great too. And I do like the fact that if somebody, said something like cake, whoa, we don't say cake in this classroom. If I needed to, I could remove the cake response. and say, I'm sorry, we don't talk about cake in here. And again, cake is acceptable, just giving that example. Also, we love the fact that the text is kind of small when you're on a smartboard up front, but then it does zoom in. So if you're a vigilant teacher, you can come in real quick. And if you would happen to see something, which typically might happen at the middle school level, I can attest to that, then you can remove it if you need to. But for the most part, this is exactly what we're talking about when we say students are active participants. You can give them verbal feedback as you go through that. Thank you all for participating in that. We're going to skip this one right here, but this is just another example of an individual activity where students are able to go in. We've got 3 different examples of sentences where students are able to type using their text tool in the effect column. This is an awesome graphic organizer. Lumio provides so many ready-made graphic organizers. Again, that's something we love about it. Teachers don't have to spend the time creating the organizer. They can go in and customize this in no time at all. Let's keep going. Another collaborative activity. This one right here, same with that cause and effect. If I put people on teams of 2, we'll just do a quick demo of that. Let's try that again. There we go. And if we start this workspace up, so students in here are able to team up with their partner or partners. Can a cup just break on its own? If we're talking about cause and effect, there must be a cause for things. So why might the effect of the break occur? And then students can kind of brainstorm together and do this. Again, we're talking about bridging that gap between our in-person and our remote learners. I'm looking at my time right here. Dishwasher issue, that's good. I think I had that happen to me last week. It was a pretty messy cleanup. I'm looking at the time and I want to make sure that I'm not moving too fast, but we do have a lot of other things to cover. So I'm gonna skip around a little bit for some of these other features here. The matchmaking tool, I absolutely love the game interactive. Students love these. They're self-paced. You don't need me to start this right now. If you happen to make a mistake and you drop things in, you can get immediate feedback. Oh, that wasn't correct. It didn't move in there. All of the game-based activities do this, which I just love because they're differentiated. Students can work at their own pace. They're engaged in their learning. And again, if I'm in teacher-paced mode, when we hit a certain point, we can move on. We're going to skip the latitude and longitude. If you are watching this on demand, you are welcome to, you will get a link to the presentation, so you're welcome to check some of these out. Just to summarize what's going on here, one thing that we did was we just took an image, and when we gave certain longitude and latitude points, students could actually go into the handout and they were able to click on this little magnifying glass tool, and they were able to position it wherever they needed to in order to find the location. And then again, as a class, whether the student was remote or in person, we could pull that up. Class could give a thumbs up if they thought it was correct. If we felt like we needed to make adjustments, we could do that. But again, you're taking something that would normally be a passive activity, you're making it interactive for students. Just looking at figurative language real quick, we're gonna skip that one for now, but I think I'd like to share this one. This is a pretty cool shout it out. So there's so much customization in Lumio as well, and one of the pieces that I love is these the categories, and just one of the ways that we did it. So in this this activity, students had to create a sentence that showcased alliteration using an assigned letter. So we had 8 students that were hybrid, or 8 students that were remote, and then about 16 that were in class. So I was able to say, students in row 1, you have letter P. Students in row 2, you're letter B. All of my remote students, you are letter L. And then, we could kind of divvy that up so that students worked as teams, even though some were hybrid, some were remote, some were in person. It was sort of a team challenge that you could work through, and everybody could participate. So we could say like, oh man, my remote students, everyone at home, keeps making sure you can add some things in, go through it, and they were able to do so. Again, thanks for the participation, those throwing that out there, but just a way to kind of demonstrate. Personal touch points, these are so important. As an LA teacher, that's something that's really naturally built into our curriculum. Finding ways to use Lumio's already created graphic organizers and kind of doing something different with them. This was a web, but turned this into a life map writing activity where students could put images of things from their own lives that related to them. And what a great opportunity for a teacher to, be able to look at some of these personal things and then say like, wow, these are, based on some of these images, I know I can have these conversations with my students now because they're sharing that, and these are going to be inspiration for their writing. Again, I'm looking at time and I do want to jump ahead here. So what I just want to pause with real quick, I'm going to jump ahead and just give you a quick demonstration on something that we provided to our staff as a really big selling point for why we thought Lumio was such an awesome activity. And it was essentially just the idea of how easy it is to create an interactive in 2 minutes or less. So I'm going to end the presentation and actually switch over to editing mode. So on your screen, if you were in that presentation, it might say your teacher is, hold up, your teacher's not there right now. But what we're looking at right here is the editing mode in Lumio. And if I decided that, man, I'd love to make an exit ticket for everyone right now because we've gone through a lot of activities, but I want to just, quick make an exit ticket, maybe throw in a few checks for understanding, just to show you how quick it is and how easy it is. I'm going to click on this, the little plus sign down here. And I'm going to import a resource, and I'm going to import from Google Drive. And as a Google Workspace school, we have so many things in Google Drive, slideshows, docs, things like that. And you can just upload so many things from Google Drive, and it's so quick and so easy. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my Google Drive, and I have a 2-slide Lumio Google slideshow that I just want to add right now. And you can see that Lumio is saying, okay, we're importing this Lumio exit ticket demo that I have prepared for you here. This is probably the thing that takes the longest in Lumio, and you can see that took about 15, 20 seconds. If you do have, 20, 30 slides, it might be a little bit longer, but it goes pretty quick. You can see I can choose both my slides, or I can just choose one. So I'm gonna add these in right now, and it's gonna import those 2 Google slideshows, and this is really where the magic comes into play. So I've got my slides right here. And again, this was just made in Google Slides, but I want to make this interactive. So watch how quick it is for me to turn this random Google slideshow into an exit ticket. I'm going to go ahead and click the Add Image button. I'm going to select an image from my desktop, and I have a little star image. It's a PNG. I got this from Canva EDU and downloaded it as a PNG with a transparent background. I'm going to resize it so it fits right here in this little circle. And I'm going to click on the drop-down arrow and turn that into an infinite cloner. And now we pretty much have an exit ticket if I click on that little magic wand button and I make this a collaborative workspace activity. And that was it. I just made an exit ticket based on a Google slideshow. It took about 30 seconds. If I wanted to pop in a few other things, I could have a shout it out here. I could click on a graphic organizer if I wanted to. Again, there's just so many resources in Lumio, but just for the sake of this this demonstration here, I'm going to now switch from my editing mode back into the presentation. And I'm hoping if you still hung with me here, I'm going to click Set Up. And right now I'm going to put everybody on one team. So what I'd like you to do is based on, some of the things we talked about, you can go ahead and grab that star and drag it to your favorite feature that perhaps we talked about here today. And feel free to drag it to one or more if you like that. I love all of these features, the fact that we can switch from teacher pace to student pace, the fact that we can have in-person and remote learning happening, all those awesome ready-made templates, share settings, you can share with teachers, you can share with students, that minimal creation time. That was really the point of this slide right here. You can just see how quickly I was able to transform a random Google slide, single, like almost a JPEG into this fully interactive exit ticket. So thanks so much for jumping in there and participating in that exit ticket. My moderators, I just want to check on time. I'm more than happy to share another example or two. But if you think we should pause and look at the chat here or have any conversations, give me a heads up right now.
I think maybe there was one question, John, initially, but then maybe there might be a few others.
Sure, please.
Dawn, when you had, maybe you might want to go back to the page when you had the hundreds with the little pictures.
Yes, absolutely.
Dawn, she asked twice, so we have to answer this. She wanted to know how you actually make the 100 picture.
Were we looking at the Gumball machine or
no,
was it
the one before, I think?
This one right here?
Yeah.
This one right here, I believe?
Yes. So how did you get?
Yeah, so again, this is part of the ease of creation with with Lumio, most teachers have resources already. This hundreds chart was just a worksheet that the teacher handed out to students. They simply scanned it, we uploaded it to Google Drive, and then imported this as a resource. So this was just a worksheet. Now, as far as all the numbers go, as you saw me do with that star PNG in the exit ticket where I just imported the image, that's all these numbers are right here. These are all images that we actually just custom created in Canva. We use Canva EDU quite a bit because the library is so large, and the fact that educators have it free, and there's an education plan that is free in there. So that's predominantly what we use for our numbers. You could certainly just go in Lumio as well and do an image search, because there's a fantastic image search. If we even look right there, we can do our Bing safe search, and you could pull up numbers if you would want here. And then these are not infinite cloners. They are just images that we're dragging and moving. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Yes, it did. And it prompted a second one. So your longitude and latitude sheet, how did you create that one?
Absolutely. Let's go to specifically this one right here. Pull that up. Let's go back. There we go. I might refresh though, that one's not coming up, but so all of these right here, these are just images, 100% just images that we searched for. The actual activity, which for some reason it's not displaying, I don't know if you're seeing it on your screen at all there. There it goes. This is the same thing. This is another worksheet that was essentially handed out. And I know that, if you're living around where I am right now, toner and paper, apparently production is struggling right now. So our schools are really struggling to get toner and paper. So again, this is just a scanned copy of a worksheet where typically, it would say 51 North, 1 West, and students would just have to take their pencil and circle it. Now we don't have to print out, 50 copies of this. The magnifying glass, that's just an image that we pulled from that Bing safe search. And, you can resize that. I can go in here, I can make that bigger, smaller. And that's just students drag and dropping that images, as long as you don't lock it in place, which is something you can do as well if you have images or things that you don't want to move with that drop down when you hit infinite cloner, or if you lock it. This one, you just leave it alone and students are able to drag and drop. And you just give them the instructions to, hey, find the image of the magnifying glass, move it where you need to.
Right, any other questions? You.
Yep.
Yeah. Let me just see if there's any other questions that we've got going on. Yeah, so Dawn just responded in relation to the numbers. She was thinking of using Notebook to create and upload, or use the copy and paste feature for numbers, which is another way that you could definitely do it as well. So
yeah, that's a fantastic, also another change with Lumio. I mean, even just the ability to copy and paste slides and templates has been, that was probably our only complaint early on last year. Was like, oh, it would be so good to do that. And that's something Lumio has done so well, is kind of listening to teacher feedback of, hey, this is something that would really help us when we're creating. But even being able to copy activities from one Lumio presentation to another, or copying slides directly, makes it so easy.
So I think we probably have a couple more minutes, maybe 1 or 2, 3 maximum, Jonathan. Do you want to, is there any kind of, because I know you had so many activities, is there one or two that you want to finally wow someone with?
Sure, we can look at, let's just look at 2 real quick here. The one that I'm just going to put up here, because we didn't get a touch on this yet, but it's something that my students love. And regardless of grade level, I think every student loves to do this. But your students essentially have a text tool and they have a drawing tool built into any interactive slide. And the drawing can sometimes, for my students on iPads, the drawing is super easy. For my students that are on laptops like me right now, if you ask me to draw you a picture, you can see I'm doing my best, but it's maybe not the greatest. But my students often love this when, we'll throw in just 60-second drawing challenge, and we might say, depict this type of sentence, or draw a picture of your understanding of what personification is. And usually, again, this is kind of a personal touch point piece, but don't underestimate the power of laughter in the classroom, because usually even just going through our gallery of displaying the images that we draw, this is an awesome way to kind of just make an instant exit ticket, 60 seconds to draw it, and usually we have a laugh about, the types of drawings that are showing up. The other piece that I'll just share with you real quick, Lumio has some amazing new templates. We love the new templates that are in there. They look so professional. They're really appealing. There is an awesome feature in Lumio where you can record your voice to certain slides. And one thing that I recently did in an 8th grade classroom was we kind of took a lesson on different types of verb tenses, and we gamified it so that it was students basically would listen to a narration of these different slides as they're going through, and they're trying to determine why their teacher is being haunted by some sort of, maniacal penguins or something like that. And as they go through these activities, the audio directions fill them in on part of the story and also give them ideas for different challenges they have to complete. So again, it's just sort of that way that you can take, a more passive lesson and you can find a way to make it interactive. And the fact that I could go up here and just switch this to student paced and tell my students, you work at your own pace. When you get to the parts where the audio maybe tells you to alert your teacher, you can do that. So it's awesome for differentiation. Students are able to kind of work at their own pace. They can learn as they need to, but they can all still take part in the same activity, which is just fantastic. So I probably am getting close to my limit there.
Yeah, that's probably it. So 2 things. I want to say a massive thank you, Jonathan. You've so many ideas, and we only touched the surface, which is brilliant. And what I do love about many of the things you do is the creative element to it. And you don't have a lot on your pages. It's all about the thinking and what comes with the activity, which I think is amazing, because putting too much doesn't allow that learner to bring their learning to the page, their learning to the activity. So I think that's just amazing. We have added your lesson link, share link to the chat so people can take away your resources. And for those of you who don't know, thank you for bringing up the templates as well, Jonathan. We have a brand new Lumio template that's not yet released, and I've just added that download link to the chat, or share link to the chat as well. So it's an exclusive event prize. You get a new template to add to your library. So on behalf of everyone here, and Kim, if you wanted to say something, please do, but thank you very much. It was amazing as always, and reach out to Jonathan is what I would say if you want to. He's very approachable, and you've got some fantastic ideas, so thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for sharing your file.
Yeah, absolutely. Feel free to dig into that. You have my Twitter up here. More than welcome to DM me if you want to collaborate, or if you have any specific questions. One of the things I love about my role right now as a K-12 tech coach, I love working with teachers and being able to provide them with a resource that's really going to help provide better engagement for their students, especially in such a difficult time right now. So feel free to reach out if you do need anything.
Excellent. And I think just probably on one last note is go and grab a coffee and don't go anywhere. Come back for Gretchen, because Gretchen's got some amazing things to share as well. And she's up in about 15 minutes. And then stay on for George. Do you want to do a quick plug for George, Kim?
Yes, we also have George Kuros joining us today at 3:00 Eastern Standard Time to talk all about innovation. We are so excited. Please also make sure to invite other people. That is not only for ambassadors. So feel free to invite your colleagues, other teachers, anybody's welcome.
And thank you, and have a nice afternoon, everybody.